thank you all for taking the time to join us today. So, I hope everyone has had a chance to explore V2. There's been a lot of volume lately, so check out some of the awesome APRs available. And for those of you who are new to V2, we have tutorial videos on our YouTube channel on how to create V2 positions. And we also have documentation on our website explaining the tokenomics. So there's a wealth of information, and if anything is confusing, just feel free to ask in our Discord. So let's get this AMA started.
Hey everybody. Yeah, welcome to the first AMA following the saucerswap version 2 launch. We are super excited to answer some of your questions. Our last AMA was about a month ago, and a lot has changed since then. So just to kick this off, we will start with some metrics following saucerswap version 2's launch, and also just takes just a couple minutes to touch on some milestones. So first of all, the TVL for SauceSwap version 2 is currently around $8.5 million, which is neck and neck with SushiSwap version 3 on Ethereum, which is really exciting, and it shows that concentrated liquidity is gaining traction on Hedera. And what follows from the TVL is even more exciting, and that is the trade volume made possible by version 2. So we have seen SauceSwap version 2 process more than $25 million in trade volume since its launch on November 17th. So in just a few short weeks, the overall trade volume going through SauceSwap is multiple times higher than before version 2's launch. And this increased trading activity is exactly what we wanted to see. Second, we are currently in phase 2 of the updated tokenomics model, which means the inflation rate of newly minted sauce is 40% lower than prior to the launch of version 2. So there will be one last cut in about 3 weeks, which will bring the overall inflation rate to 60% lower than before version 2's launch. And so, kind of hand in hand with the increased trading volume, this reduced inflation is another step on our path to long-term sustainability via real yield, which is one of the kind of overarching goals we set at the beginning of the year. So we're really excited about that. Additionally, with MetaMask being fully supported, the barrier to entry to Hedera DeFi has never been lower. Even still, the ecosystem can make this even easier through some various improvements. And just to name a few, the ability to bridge assets solely with MetaMask through Hashport instead of connecting two wallets is one that comes to mind. The upcoming MetaMask Snap, as well as I believe currently planned for around the turn of the year, and that should make MetaMask functionality even easier. You can associate tokens within MetaMask and some other improvements as well. We can also look forward to better Hedera support on centralized exchanges, including the ability to send HBAR to EVM addresses on Hedera. So that's really important for sending HBAR from a centralized exchange to MetaMask. And some other improvements which stand to increase adoption of the network, particularly in DeFi and retail-focused applications. So the reason I'm mentioning all of these is this is kind of top of mind for us right now in terms of the next steps for SaucerSwap. I think there's a big overlap between the next steps for SaucerSwap and the next steps for Hedera DeFi. So what we want to see is greater adoption, more activity coming to the network, and these will fuel kind of the long-term sustainability and growth that we set forward as a goal for this year. On a SaucerSwap specific note, we also wanted to touch on some feedback we have received regarding the new web application. So there were a number of users having issues interacting with SaucerSwap because of the site performing slowly and particularly on certain devices. So it was a bit of an elusive problem. But this past week, we have made several optimizations which should greatly improve the performance of the site. So if you were a user having issues with the site, try it now, see if it's better for you. If not, let us know. We will continue to find areas for improvement. But like I said, it should be much better than it was before. Additionally, there is a known issue with connectivity with Hashpack. We have let the Hashpack team know of this. It's our understanding that the issue stems from Hash Connect. So if you are having issues connecting your Hashpack, and what this looks like is, examples not showing up when you try to execute them on SaucersSwap. So it looks like your wallet is connected, but the transactions are not being prompted in your wallet. The way around that right now is disconnect your wallet, quit your browser, reopen it, and then connect your wallet. Of course, this is just a temporary solution while we get to the root cause of the issue with the Hashpack team. Lastly, most liquidity providers have already done so, but if you have not migrated your NFTs to the new non-fungible position manager contract, please do so. You need to do this to continue being eligible for Larry rewards. So if you were a version 2 liquidity provider and you haven't been on the site in the last couple weeks, there's a tab at the top of the website where you can easily migrate your positions. If you go to this page and you see positions in the table below the instructions, you should migrate them. If you don't see any positions on this page, you're all set. No action is required on your end. And as long as your positions are in range, you are receiving swap fees and Larry rewards. So that should be everything in terms of updates. We will now jump into some of the great questions we received from the following week.
All right, thank you so much for that, Peter. So the first question is from Celestial Being. They're glad to see a successful integration with Meta and V2 launch. What is the next major plan on the horizon for the new year for saucerswap?
Yeah, so leading up to the end of the year, there's a few things to look forward to. We have another 20% cut to the inflation rate of newly minted sauce coming up in about 3 weeks. And there will also be some exciting updates to the Larry reward system as well. As a reminder, Larry is able to emit any token to SauceSwap version 2 liquidity providers on a per pool basis. So it's really a modular system that allows any ecosystem project to distribute tokens to V2 liquidity providers. Of course, you will never receive tokens that you do not associate with your account, and any tokens that are being emitted will be clearly shown on the UI. But I will just say we are very excited about the future of Larry and the broadening of token incentives to create a more integrated DeFi ecosystem with more projects participating. So look forward to that as well. Some of the items on our short-term roadmap are Sauce Pro and an integration with an active liquidity management platform. Not necessarily in that order, but the ALM platform, Joseph will touch on in a bit more detail later on. And that one is very exciting. As for the new year, it's a bit too early to speak about that, but there are no plans to slow down development. We believe 2024 will be a pretty action-packed year for Hedera in general and Hedera DeFi, and we're just excited to be involved in all the new developments that will occur. So yeah, sorry for the general answer for 2024, but that's all we got for now, and we do have some developments leading up to the end of the year as well.
Great, thanks so much for that, Peter. So this question is from anonymous, and it's from Joseph. When will exchange listings become a priority? What are the barriers to getting listings? And what can the community do to expedite listings?
Hey guys. So good question. The main barrier to getting listed on centralized exchanges is the fee, which from our experience can range anywhere from $200,000 to $500,000. So our thoughts are currently as follows. We recognize the value of additional exchange listings, particularly as it relates to increased exposure of SaucerSwap and Hedera DeFi. However, we don't want to waste our time and resources on mid-tier exchange listings, as Sauce is already available to trade on MEXC. Hence, we consider this redundant. So we would rather wait to be listed on a tier 1 exchange, such as Bybit, OKX, Coinbase, and Binance, as these venues have significantly more active users and organic volume, as well as less toxic order flow. So the trade-off here is the higher listing fee, which we can certainly afford and have budgeted for this in our 2024 financial planning. However, please understand that this process shouldn't be rushed as timing is important.
Great, thanks for that. Our next question is from Gold Road. Why is there no option to express values in foreign currencies? Many of us live outside the US and would find this extremely useful.
Yeah, we actually had this feature shortly after the version 1 launch, but it was causing some issues with the site, so we reset it to only show values in terms of USD. However, we have received this note a few times, and it should now be fairly straightforward to support multiple currency conversions on the new website. For the time being, this will be added to the backlog, but it will be addressed when the docket is a bit thinner.
Great. Next question is from Box Monkey. Hi guys, now that the market seems to be trending positive, will we start to see projects launching through Headstarter and a possible phase 2 launch?
That is certainly the hope, and it seems that Headstarter is seeing more activity now that there is more development happening on Hedera compared to the last year or so. I know they just had an event with Sphera, so that was cool to see. With that said, for kind of concrete information about the projects launching through Headstarter, it'd be a great question for their team. We don't have complete visibility into it, but as I mentioned, yeah, there seems to be more activity now, so we're certainly hopeful. But on our end, kind of what we can control is with saucerswap version 2 now being launched, the additional verticals for Sauce single-sided staking are moved up in the priority queue. So those will be revisited in the new year.
Great. And this next question is also for you, Peter, and it's from Digital Father Time. Is there a timeline for Sauceling NFTs? Have tiers been established? Will there be a tier for burning a full set of 4 Planck epoch?
There is currently no specific timeline for the Sauce Sling NFT series, but kind of similar to the last answer, this will be revisited in the new year. And yes, the most recently discussed model included a tier for each single NFT and a separate tier for burning the full set of 4.
Great. This next one is for Joseph. So are there any updates on Diamond Standard and RWAs?
Yeah, so I guess I'll begin with a quick primer on Diamond Standard for those unfamiliar. So they offer regulated and exchange-traded diamond commodities in the form of coins and bars, and each of which is embedded with a standardized set of GIA graded diamonds, as well as wireless encryption chips for authentication and auditing. And their geological details are recorded on Hedera. So Carat is a token that lives on the Hedera token service, and it represents fractional ownership in these physical coins and bars and can be redeemed at any time. And recently, Carat was listed on saucerswap, making it one of the earliest examples of a real world asset, or RWA, in the Hedera DeFi ecosystem. So we continue to explore collaborations with Diamond Standard, and you can look forward to some more news on this, as well as other RWA use cases.
Great. This next question is also for you. What does lower sauce inflation mean, and why release tokens at all?
Yeah, it's a good question. So soft token inflation is managed by the MasterChef smart contract, which holds the supply key and controls the issuance of new tokens. And historically, these tokens were primarily distributed to yield farmers who staked their liquidity tokens. And this helped to attract and retain liquidity essential for the protocol to function effectively. So as you know, SauceSwap version 1's constant product AMM is considered capital inefficient, Therefore, it necessitated a high rate of sauce token emissions to compensate for low yields from liquidity provision. However, with the introduction of saucerswap version 2, it affords much higher capital efficiency. So the protocol has shifted focus from inflationary incentives to real yield incentives, and this is mainly driven by swap fees. And this shift is evidenced by the protocol now facilitating over 4 times the daily volume compared to before V2 launched, leading to higher real yields for liquidity providers. So the saucerswap tokenomics model was updated to align with this shift in fundamentals, and inflation is being gradually lowered by 60% over the course of 6 weeks, beginning November 17th. So while saucerswap version 2 is generating higher real yield for LPs, token incentives do remain vital for bootstrapping liquidity, broadening the distribution of the sauce token, and reinforcing protocol governance. So emissions are reduced to the point of being sustainable in the long term, but they are kept high enough to offer attractive Larry and yield farming incentives for new and existing LPs in both saucerswap version 1 and version 2.
Great, thanks for that thorough explanation, Joseph. This next question is for Peter. Are there more plans for in-wallet swap integrations? And also, when is Hashback adding V2 support?
Other wallets are planning to integrate in-wallet swaps. We will leave that up to the wallets to integrate first before an announcement is made, but that should happen relatively soon, as in a matter of a few weeks. As for Hashpack adding support for version 2, that's up to the Hashpack team. They do have everything they need to integrate version 2 swaps in their wallet, and as well as multi-hops for both version 1 and version 2. We did recently publish some extensive developer documentation that outlines everything anyone would need to call the saucerswap smart contracts. So if you're working on a wallet or any other project on Hedera and want to interface with the saucerswap smart contracts, that documentation is available at docs.saucerswap.finance. And just while we mentioned the documentation, we do want to give another shout out to Iron in our community. He really did the bulk of the work on this documentation, and it has proven to be immensely helpful in supporting projects in integrating with saucerswap. So just a big thanks to Iron for that help.
Thank you, Iron. You've been awesome. The next question is for Joseph. What will saucerswap do to maximize interest in governance participation?
Yeah, so to maximize governance participation, and this would of course happen once sauce token weighted voting is implemented, we will focus on aligning incentives effectively. So specifically, key governance activities will involve regular voting on matters such as adjusting the weight of Larry and yield farming emissions for both V1 and V2 pools, as well as introducing new V2 pools and Larry campaigns. So governance will, of course, encompass a wider range of topics, but alignment of incentives specifically is central to our strategy for maximizing interest and engagement in the governance process.
Okay, so this next question is also for you. How can we make liquidity management in V2 easier? Have you guys considered smart rebalancing pools like Sushi?
Yeah, so integrating an active liquidity management protocol into the saucerswap web app is a top priority, as it employs an auto rebalancing mechanism to keep liquidity within the active range, thus maximizing fee generation and minimizing exposure to impermanent loss for LPs who choose to deposit into the vault contract. So We have selected an ALM partner who has a proven track record and is a top protocol by TVL in this category. And they have already deployed their contracts on Hedera using the saucerswap testnet environment and have provided us with an SDK. So this should guide our integration of their vaults in the front end. And you can think of this ALM as an iteration of our existing volatility strategies. The difference being that it offers a dynamic rather than a static solution. So you can expect more on this topic as development progresses.
Very exciting. So do you guys have any ideas for how Larry can be easier to track? And this is another part of that question. Would it be possible to display a user individual APR approximate for an LP depending on how concentrated their provided liquidity is? And the last part of that question is, Larry rewards are dropped in one lump sum. Is it possible now or could it be in the future to see how much Larry rewards were earned per position?
Yeah, so we have received considerable user feedback regarding Larry. Specifically, many users want an easy way to track their accrued rewards throughout the course of an epoch. So similar to how the yield farming works. And to address a possible solution, I'll give a brief technical background on how Larry works in the backend. So if you consider a liquidity provider, let's call it account A, with an open position in the sauce HBAR pool. This position begins the epoch with 0 liquidity hours, and then it gradually accumulates liquidity hours as the epoch progresses. And because we don't know what the total liquidity hours will be at epoch end, we can't say how many token rewards account A's position has earned. So liquidity hours are easily trackable. However, token rewards are relative, and they depend on the total liquidity hours at epoch end. So with this in context, we have thought of a possible solution, and it involves displaying the projected total rewards earned per position as a point-in-time metric. And the drawback of this solution is that rewards are estimated, and they could decrease at any given time, and this may lead to more confusion. So the next steps on our end are to backtest Epoch 1 data to assess the viability of this idea, and we'll proceed from there.
Great, thanks for that, Joseph. This one is from Gold Road and it's from Peter. So Gold Road is wondering if there are any plans on integrating XRP as a HTS token.
So yeah, that would be a question for interoperability solutions. So in this example, or in this case, it would be Hashport rather than saucerswap. We don't have any provenance over what tokens are integrated on Hedera or what tokens can be bridged to Hedera. So if you want to see that happen, I would recommend reaching out to Hashport.
Great, thanks for that, Peter. This next question is from Celestial Being. Does the team have an update on the BSL move to saucerswap?
So last I spoke with Bank Social, they said they were aiming for to create the BSL liquidity pool in mid-December. So you would have to ask them directly.
Great, thanks for that. So there was a lot of information today. And before we end this AMA, the team would like to award a dog star. So for those of you that are new to the saucerswap community, the dog star awards are monetary awards given to users who have contributed to the saucerswap community in a significant and meaningful way. Today's dog star award goes out to Substantial Data 2707 from Reddit. So thank you, Substantial Data, for helping users on Reddit regarding the features and tokenomics on saucerswap v2. And also a big shout out to everyone who participated in the emoji contest. Narayoshi just posted the winners. So thank you for creating all those awesome emojis for our community. And that wraps up our AMA. So have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys.